I pushed the front door open with my elbow, trying not to drop the 2 bags of groceries digging into my hands. My shoulders were wrecked from standing all day in front of 30 teenagers who couldn't care less about the Civil War. I was so wiped I barely noticed the TV murmuring in the background until I heard her voice. Laura was stretched across the couch, phone pressed to her cheek, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. I paused at the threshold between the kitchen and the living room, halfway to setting the bags down, when her tone shifted, more serious. I almost kept moving. Almost. "No, I mean it," she said. "Love's not just given, it's earned. You show up, you prove yourself. Otherwise, what's the point?" I stopped cold. My heart didn't exactly sink. It kind of flipped, like it didn't know which way to fall. I stood there holding bags of crap she'd texted me to pick up. Almond milk, protein bars, some overpriced herbal tea, and just listened. "David used to be that way, thoughtful, attentive," she said, a little laugh at the end like it was a punchline. "Now it's like, we're just roommates. I don't feel anything unless he does something worth feeling it for, you know?" There wasn't anger in her voice. That's what got me. No fire, no pain, just this cold, calculated logic, like she was going over her Amazon returns. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. My arms were burning, but I didn't feel them. I don't know what I expected from marriage after 12 years. Comfort, sure, some routine. But not this. Not being evaluated like an employee on probation. I guess some part of me thought we were still in this together, still on the same team. She laughed again. "I'm not gonna fake love if it's not earned. That's not how I work." Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I backed up a step. Slowly set the bags on the counter without making a sound. She didn't hear me, still on the call, still living in whatever version of our life she thought she was entitled to. I could feel my hands shake a little, not with rage, just something deeper, something breaking. I didn't interrupt. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, frozen in the kitchen I helped pay for, realizing I might be the only one in this marriage who thought love was supposed to come without strings. I picked up the bags again, walked straight into the living room, and let them drop on the floor right in front of her. Laura jumped. "Jesus, David, you scared the crap out of me." She sat up fast, eyes flicking to her phone screen, then back to me. Whatever look had been on her face a second ago vanished. Her mouth curled into that neutral, slightly too sweet smile she used when she was bluffing. "Hey," she said, like nothing was off. "Long day?" I didn't answer. Just grabbed the bags again and carried them into the kitchen. My hands were steady now. My chest wasn't. "I was just talking to Katie," she called after me. "She's going through a thing with Ryan again. It's this whole mess." I started putting the groceries away. Quiet, deliberate. Every box, every container, each item hitting the shelf with a dull thud. She kept talking. "I thought maybe we could make the salmon tonight, or... Wait, did you pick up the rice?" I nodded, didn't look at her. "You okay?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Fine." My voice came out flat. I didn't care enough to make it sound friendly. She leaned against the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. "You sure?" "You're kinda... I don't know. Quiet." "I'm tired." She nodded like that explained everything, like that was enough. I kept thinking about those words. Love has to be earned. Like it was a bonus I had to qualify for. Like she was holding some kind of emotional paycheck, waiting to see if I'd worked hard enough to deserve it. 12 years of showing up. 12 years of cleaning up dishes after dinner without being asked. Running to the store for her cravings at 10 p.m. Planning anniversary surprises, picking up the slack when she got laid off. And not once had I ever held that over her. Not once did I make her prove anything to me. But she sat on that couch and talked, like she was still deciding if I was worth her love. "You want me to start dinner?" she asked. I looked at her for a second, just long enough to make her shift uncomfortably, and shook my head. "I'm not hungry." She blinked. "Okay." Then she turned away like nothing happened. No apology, no explanation, not even a nervous joke to cover the silence. Just walked back into the living room and plopped back on the couch. I stood there for a while, staring at the spice rack I'd built from scratch last summer because she wanted something a little more aesthetic. That moment hit me hard. Everything I'd poured in, all the little things she didn't even notice anymore, none of it had earned me a damn thing. And it wasn't just tonight, it was years. Years of doing everything right, and being treated like that was just the baseline. Like affection was a transaction and I hadn't met my quota lately. I wasn't going to chase that anymore. I wasn't going to beg her to see me, or prove my worth, or earn her love like it was some kind of prize. She could keep it. From now on, I was done trying. I walked back into the living room, sat in the armchair across from her, pulled out my phone, and scrolled without saying a word. She looked over. "You sure you're okay?" "Yep." She gave me one more glance, then went back to her phone, completely unaware that something had just shifted. And I made damn sure she wouldn't see it coming. The next morning, I got up earlier than usual, skipped making coffee for both of us, and brewed just enough for myself. She came downstairs about 20 minutes later, rubbing her eyes, hair in a messy bun like always. "Didn't make any?" she asked, nodding toward the empty coffee pot. I didn't even look up from my phone. "Thought you were sleeping in." She stared at me for a second, confused, then walked to the pantry. No big deal. That's how it started. Quiet. Subtle. No more grabbing her favorite dark chocolate almonds when I stopped at the gas station. No more texts during lunch asking how her day was going. I didn't kiss her goodbye when I left for work. Didn't ask what she wanted for dinner. If she noticed, she didn't say much. That night, she asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I said I had papers to grade. I didn't. I just went to the spare room and sat at the desk with my laptop open, scrolling through old emails and reading nothing. She watched something alone in the living room. I could hear it through the wall, but I didn't feel the need to join her. By Thursday, the pattern was locked in. I'd come home, eat quietly, clean my plate, then disappear upstairs. No affection. No interest. Not even the little compliments she used to get like, "You look good in that," or "I like your hair like that." I stopped giving her anything extra. "Everything okay at school?" she asked one evening while I was flipping through a book in bed. "Yeah. You've been kind of quiet lately." "I'm tired." That was the go-to, and honestly, it wasn't even a lie. She nodded slowly and didn't ask anything else. I could tell she wanted to. The way she lingered in the doorway a second longer than usual, like she was waiting for something to open the door back up. But I didn't hand her the key. The following week, she bought a new blouse and came downstairs wearing it like she expected a reaction. I glanced up, gave a nod, and went back to my laptop. She waited a beat. "Do you like it?" "It's fine." She blinked like I'd slapped her with those two words, then turned and walked into the kitchen without another comment. No fight, no drama. Just a weird silence thick enough to drown in. I was banking on that silence now, letting it do the work for me. She thought it was just a phase, mid-year burnout or stress. I saw her texting Katie more, probably venting about how I was off, but she didn't come out and say anything to me. Not yet. She figured I'd bounce back like I always did. Problem was, I wasn't bouncing back. I'd stopped jumping altogether. At dinner one night, she told me her coworker got engaged. Some long story about the proposal and the ring. I nodded while chewing, didn't say a word. "You think she's too young?" she asked, almost fishing. I wiped my mouth and said, "Maybe." That was it. I didn't ask how her day was. Didn't tell her about the kid who accidentally called me dad in class and turned red. Didn't share anything. I was conserving energy, finally realizing how much I'd been pouring out with nothing coming back. She started giving me sideways glances after that. Long pauses, like she was waiting for something I used to give her without thinking. But this time, I wasn't offering. She went to bed before me most nights now, curling up without saying goodnight. I waited until she was asleep, then came in quietly and lay down without touching her. She still hadn't called it out. But the wondering had started. I could see it in the way she looked at me across the dinner table, searching for cracks. What she didn't get yet was that the cracks weren't new. They'd just stopped being patched. The house was quiet when I walked in. No TV, no music, just the low hum of the AC kicking on. Laura was curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. I walked past her without a word and headed straight for the kitchen. The fridge door creaked open and I grabbed a cold can of Coke, didn't even bother pouring it in a glass. The pop of the tab echoed a little too loud in the silence. "You okay?" she called out, her voice a little too soft to be casual. I took a long drink before answering. "Yeah." I didn't look at her, just leaned against the counter and stared out the window above the sink. Lawn needed mowing. Sprinkler head was busted again. Not her problem, though. Never was. When I finally glanced over, she was watching me with her phone still in her hand, thumb hovering like she forgot what she was doing. "You've been acting weird," she said after a second. "Is something wrong?" I shrugged and walked past her again, heading toward the stairs. "Just tired." I didn't wait for a response. That night, she came to bed earlier than usual, didn't say anything, didn't try to touch me. Just climbed in and curled up with her back turned like usual, but I could tell she wasn't asleep. She was waiting for me to ask something, to say something. I didn't. Over the next few days, she started making these little attempts. Random questions about my students, asking if I wanted to go for a walk after dinner, offering to pick up coffee if she was running errands. I answered everything with the same energy someone gives a gas station cashier. No thanks? Sure. Whatever's fine. She started talking more at dinner, stuff she never used to bother with before, details about her coworkers, petty drama with her mom, even a story about someone rear-ending her at a stoplight. Normally, I'd ask if she was okay, offer to check out the damage, maybe even deal with the insurance call myself. This time, I just said, "Damn," and kept eating. One night, I came home and she'd lit a candle on the dining table. She was already sitting down, plates set, 2 glasses of wine poured. I paused for a second in the doorway, then pulled out the chair and sat down without saying anything about it. She looked at me like she was waiting for a compliment or a smile or some sort of acknowledgement. I didn't give her one. Halfway through dinner, she tried again. "You've been so quiet lately. Are you mad at me or something?" "No." "You sure?" "Yeah." She nodded slowly and picked at her food, barely eating the rest of it. I finished mine and cleared my plate without asking if she was done. The silence started to get heavier after that. Not just awkward, it had weight, the kind you could feel in your shoulders. She started watching me more closely, like she was trying to solve a puzzle. She didn't get it yet. She didn't know I'd stopped playing. By the end of the week, the house was quieter than ever. Not peaceful, just silent, cold. The kind of silence where everything meant something. We still shared a bed, still ate at the same table, but we barely felt like 2 people living together. More like 2 bodies stuck in the same box, just waiting for the other to move first. She started getting snappy in small ways, folding the laundry with too much force, closing drawers harder than needed. And then the comments started. "You never help around the house anymore," she muttered one Saturday as she vacuumed the living room while I sat reading. I didn't look up. "Didn't know we were keeping score." She stopped mid-vacuum. "I'm just saying, it's like you don't care." I turned the page. "Okay." That one hit. I didn't even need to see her face. I heard it in the way the vacuum suddenly got quieter. She didn't expect indifference. She was poking, hoping I'd react. Engage, fight. But I didn't. I let her stew in it. Later that night, she sat next to me on the couch while I watched the news. Closer than usual, I felt her shift, subtly inching toward me. Her thigh touched mine, light, careful. Then her hand slid onto my arm. She used to do that all the time, just touch me for the hell of it. It used to mean something. Now it felt like a test. I didn't move, didn't look at her, kept my eyes on the screen, and didn't flinch when she gave my arm the lightest squeeze. "You know," she said, voice soft like we were still on good terms, "you could try being a little present. I'm still your wife." "Are you?" I asked, not even blinking. She pulled her hand back like she touched a flame. I stood up and walked to the kitchen without another word. She didn't follow. The days after that got more awkward. She stopped trying to sit close, but her words started to slip through in other ways. "It'd be nice if someone noticed I cooked dinner. I guess I'll just take the trash out. Again." "Whatever, you're barely here anyway." I let every comment hang in the air. Let her feel how empty it was when I didn't chase after her with reassurance like I used to. Because that's what she wanted. She was used to me coming back with comfort, trying to make it better, trying to prove I cared. Not anymore. I stopped asking how her day was. I stopped refilling her water before bed. I didn't remind her about her mom's birthday. I didn't offer to drive when we went to the store together. I just let her carry her own weight, for once. One night, she came into the bedroom already in her pajamas and stood at the edge of the bed for a few seconds like she was working up the courage to say something. I just kept brushing my teeth, watching her in the mirror. When I came out, she was under the covers, eyes shut, clearly faking sleep. I got in next to her, turned off the lamp, and lay flat on my back. Normally, even if we were annoyed, I kissed her goodnight. Just a habit. One of the last ones I hadn't broken yet. But I didn't this time. I could feel her waiting for it. Her body stiffened slightly when I didn't move. I closed my eyes and didn't say a word. That moment, tiny as it was, felt like a line crossed. Something shifted in the air. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt like I'd finally taken something back. Friday night, I was at the kitchen table grading quizzes, red pen in hand, trying to make sense of half-baked answers about Reconstruction and Lincoln's legacy. The house was quiet, just the scratch of my pen and the occasional sip from a glass of water. Then, I heard the click of heels. She never wore heels at home. I looked up just long enough to catch a glimpse. Tight black dress, curled hair, full makeup, like she was headed to some rooftop bar in Midtown, not dinner with the usual group of coworkers she always complained about. She stood in the doorway, purse over her shoulder. "I'm going out with the girls tonight." I didn't look up again, just circled the word secession for the 4th time that hour. "Lisa said they're meeting at that new place downtown," she added, like I should care. "Okay." Silence. No movement. I knew she was waiting, standing there expecting something. A comment, a question, maybe even a fight. Nothing came. After a few seconds, she cleared her throat. "Don't wait up." I flipped the page. "I won't." She lingered another beat, then walked out. The front door shut a little harder than necessary. I finished the rest of the quizzes without rushing, got up, rinsed my glass, turned off the lights, and headed to bed like it was any other night. Because to me, it was. When she came back, I was still awake, lying in bed with a book, reading under the lamp. I heard her heels first, sharp against the hardwood, then the front door opening, closing softly this time. Her steps were slower now. She appeared in the bedroom doorway, arms crossed, jacket still on. I didn't look up. "Didn't even notice I was gone?" she asked, voice tight. I turned a page. "You said not to wait up." "That's not what I meant." "Okay." She stepped into the room, but didn't come closer. "You didn't ask who I was going with, or where, or when I'd be back." I marked my spot with a receipt and closed the book calmly. Would it have mattered? Her mouth opened like she had a response locked and loaded, but nothing came out. She stared at me like I'd just spoken another language. "It's like you don't care," she finally said. "I don't," I said, plain as a fact. Her face changed, fast. That hit landed harder than anything I'd said so far. Her arms dropped, and she looked down at the floor like she needed it to hold her up. "You used to," she muttered. I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because that was the truth right there. I used to. Before I realized how one-sided it all was. Before I overheard her spell out the rules of our relationship like some corporate contract. Earn love, prove yourself, meet expectations. She changed into pajamas without saying anything else and climbed into bed on her side. No brushing of teeth, no lotion, no slow routine like always, just flat-out frustration. She turned off the lamp without asking if I was done reading. I lay in the dark, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. Something had shifted now, and she felt it, finally. She knew she didn't have the same grip she used to. The version of me who bent to make her feel secure, who'd ask a million questions just to stay connected. He wasn't sitting at that kitchen table anymore. He was gone, and she had no idea how to handle that. Dinner was salmon, rice, and roasted asparagus, her go-to meal when she was trying to reset the mood. I sat across from her, chewing slowly, not saying a word. She kept glancing up between bites, waiting. Her foot tapped under the table. The air felt tight. Halfway through the meal, she dropped her fork, hard. "Are you going to keep doing this forever?" I looked up. Whatever this is," she said, waving her hand like it explained everything. "You barely talk to me. You don't even look at me half the time. You act like I don't exist." I put my fork down. "So talk." "I'm trying to," she snapped, "but I don't even know who I'm talking to anymore." I leaned back in my chair, calm as ever. "Same guy who used to bring you coffee every morning and rub your shoulders when your back hurt." "That's not fair." "No." I folded my arms. "I've been the same person for years, Laura. You just stopped noticing." She blinked, caught off guard. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" "It means I was always there, always giving, always trying. You're just pissed now because I finally stopped." She scoffed. "Bullshit. You're acting like I don't do anything. Like I'm some cold-hearted—" "You said it yourself," I cut in, voice steady. "You told Katie love has to be earned, that you didn't feel anything for me anymore because I wasn't proving myself." She froze. Her mouth parted slightly like she was about to speak but forgot how. "I heard you," I said. The night I came home with the groceries, you were on the couch. Told her you don't feel anything unless I do something worth feeling it for. Her eyes dropped to the table. Don't act shocked, I said. That was the night everything changed. I didn't mean it like that, she mumbled. No? I tilted my head. Because it sounded pretty damn clear. She finally looked up. I was venting, I was frustrated. People say stupid shat when they're talking to their friends. And that's your defense? I asked. That it didn't count because it wasn't to my face? I didn't mean you had to earn my love, David. That's not what But that's exactly what you said. She opened her mouth again, but I held up a hand. You turned our marriage into a job interview, like every kind gesture was a deposit into some emotional bank account, and when the interest ran dry, you just stopped giving. That's not true. You stopped trying, I said, way before I did. But I didn't realize it until I heard you break it down like a business deal. Love if earned, love if deserved, love if performed. Her shoulders dropped. I didn't mean it like that. But it's how you live, I said. And now that I've stopped playing the game, you're panicking. I'm not panicking. You dressed up to go out last Friday just to get a reaction, and when I didn't bite, you came back angry. Her mouth tightened. You're not used to being the one left in the dark, are you? That's not fair. What's not fair is spending 12 years showing up and then getting told I have to prove I still deserve love. I never said you didn't deserve it, she shot back. You're twisting it. No, I said. I just finally listened. She stared at me, really stared. For the first time, her expression cracked. Not angry, not smug, just lost. I didn't think you took it like that, she said softly. I nodded. Because you weren't thinking about me at all. She went quiet. I picked up my fork again and took another bite. Laura sat back in her chair, arms crossed, legs pulled in. She looked like she was shrinking into herself. I didn't mean to make you feel like you were never enough, she said finally. But I did. I didn't respond, just kept chewing, because she still didn't get it. She thought this was about feelings, about hurt, about clearing up a misunderstanding. But it wasn't. It was about value, and I'd finally realized I'd been pouring everything into someone who didn't think I was worth it unless I kept proving it. Now that I'd stopped, the silence wasn't just mine anymore. It was hers too. The next morning, she made French toast. Real French toast, cinnamon, powdered sugar, even cut up strawberries the way I liked. I sat down at the table out of habit. She set the plate down with a quiet smile. You used to love this, she said, sliding into the chair across from me. I nodded. Thanks. She watched me eat like every bite might spark a memory, a change. I didn't say another word, just ate, rinsed my plate, and walked away. Later that day, she knocked on the office door while I was answering emails. You want to go for a walk? Not really. It's nice out. I've got stuff to do. She lingered for a second, like she thought I'd change my mind. I didn't. The next night was spaghetti, homemade sauce, garlic bread, even a salad with those tiny grape tomatoes I used to grab at the store without thinking. She lit a candle in the middle of the table. Long day? She asked, casual. Not really. You look tired. I kept eating. She reached across the table and touched my hand. I know I've been off, but I'm trying. I didn't move my hand. I'm here now, she said. I pulled away and reached for my water. It's a little late for that. She flinched, then forced a smile like she could still salvage the moment. What if we took a trip, just the two of us, somewhere quiet? Maybe that place in Vermont? I didn't even look up. It wouldn't change anything. Her voice cracked. You don't even want to try? I did, I said. For a long time. She stood up and started pacing behind her chair. So that's it? You're just done? I make one mistake and now? It wasn't one mistake, I said, cutting her off. It was a pattern. Years of being taken for granted, of me trying and you measuring. I never measured you. You did, every day. You just didn't say it out loud until that phone call. She shook her head. You're twisting my words. No, I finally believe them. She let out a bitter laugh. So you're punishing me now? I'm not punishing you. I just stopped giving energy to someone who only noticed what was missing after it was gone. She looked like she wanted to argue, to throw something, to cry. But all she did was sit back down, arms crossed tight against her chest. What do you want me to do? She asked. Nothing. Come on, David, this can't be how it ends. I pushed my chair back and stood. It's not about how it ends. It's about what already ended. She stared at me, eyes glassy. You're really not coming back from this, are you? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Every move she made now, every dinner, every fake smile, every sudden touch, was drenched in desperation. Not love, not real connection, just fear. Fear of losing something she thought would always be there. She spent years sitting in the comfort of my effort, and now that it was gone, the silence was finally loud enough for her to hear. But I wasn't breaking it. Not for guilt, not for nostalgia, and definitely not for gestures she should have made when it still mattered. I walked past her, grabbed my keys off the counter, and stepped outside for some air. She didn't follow, and I didn't look back. I came back inside after the sun went down, walked straight upstairs, and pulled my suitcase from the closet. Laura was already in the bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed like she'd been waiting. She didn't speak right away. Just watched as I opened drawers and started folding clothes. "Don't do this," she finally said, her voice small. I kept folding. "David, please." I placed a stack of shirts into the suitcase, zipped one side shut. "You're really leaving?" she asked, standing now. "Just like that?" "I'm not walking away," I said, calm. "I already did that weeks ago." Her lip trembled. I didn't mean for it to get this far. But it did. Tears welled up fast. She pressed her hands to her face, turned away, then turned back like she didn't know what else to do. "I was angry. I didn't even think you were home when I said that stuff. I didn't mean it like—" "Stop," I said, quiet but firm. She froze. "You're not sorry about what you said. You're sorry I heard it." "That's not true. You said love had to be earned, that you didn't feel anything anymore, that you wouldn't fake it. That's not anger, Laura. That's honesty." She broke, shoulders shaking, eyes red. "I didn't want it to end like this." "It already ended," I said, shoving the last of my socks into the bag. "You just didn't feel it because you weren't the one carrying the weight." She sank back onto the bed, crying into her hands. I zipped the suitcase, stood, and looked at her one last time. I gave everything I had. I tried. I really did. But I'm not going to beg you to see me anymore. I'm done proving anything. She didn't lift her head, didn't chase me. She just sat there, silent, broken, too late. I walked downstairs, grabbed my keys, and stepped out the front door. The night air was still, no wind, no sound, just me and the dull thud of my suitcase wheels rolling across the porch. I didn't feel angry, not even sad, just empty, and finally, free. I'd spent years giving pieces of myself away, hoping it'd be enough, hoping effort would equal love. But love doesn't work like that. It's not a prize. It's not earned. It's given. And if it's not, then it's not real.